Anytime, anywhere. Watch Elevate TV on the go. Stuck in traffic? No problem. Catch up on powerful content. Pretending to work at the office? Stay inspired. One tap and you're ready to go. Download the Elevate TV app now on Google Play and App Store.
Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Good morning, this is Elevate Television, Advancing Kingdom Lifestyle. I am Moses Muiruri, and today is another day we get to delve into specific things, wonderful things, and let me tell you, this is going to be one of the best conversations you've had this week. And so, please prepare. The link is already out, Facebook, YouTube, and if you've not liked our socials, please do that on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, and we're on TikTok. Please do that. So let's do that. You know the drill before we move out of here. You know the drill already there. I guess you have it. Let me give you this one already. Ken, you have it. And also, there you go. Please put it on your site. Call somebody who's just finished their school or somebody who wants just a change. And you're going to hear things that are going to change the way you think about so much. You have it, Kev. So everybody has it on YouTube and on Facebook. It's there. I have it on Facebook also. You can also go on Facebook. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation, and let's also talk to each other, and let's hear more from each other. And we're going to have a great time just doing what we have to do today. And so I'm here with Kev, and I'm here with Ken. Ken has made this his home, so we have a place for him in my father's house. So Ken, let's give Kevin the honors. Can you look at the camera, introduce yourself and what you do?
Thank you. Thank you, Muiruri. Thank you, Ken. So my name is Kelvin. I am the founder and CEO at Dronector Academy. At this particular moment, we're mainly focused on training for everything to do with drones, from getting somebody licensed with KCAA all the way to teaching people how to build and repair their own drones as well, and other specialized particular trainings, whether it's in the field of agriculture, in filming and photography, or even in aerial surveillance as one. So we generally do anything in terms of training specifically for drones.
You should add your first name as Drones Kevin.
Yes.
Ken, Kevo my drones.
Yeah, so many people say my name like that.
Kevo my drones, Right.
Yeah.
My name is Mbuki. I'm co-founder and CEO, DroFarmer Services Limited. So DroFarmer basically offers you a variety of agricultural drone services. We have 3 products currently. We'll be talking about them as we continue.
Amazing. Drones. We come from a very interesting background. Kevin,
yes.
How did you first encounter drones?
Wow, that's a very long story.
Movie.
No, so interestingly, I've always been interacting with drones as early as I was 6 years old. That was the first time I interacted with a drone before.
Hey.
So just a bit of background is my father has been in aviation for a very long time. So, him with flying and whatnot, I think I think he was also fascinated by the same toys,
Okay.
but he wanted to live that life through me.
Okay.
So anytime he was traveling, he would go purchase drones here or there. Then I would get to play with them. The only problem was, you know, being a very curious child, specifically with technology. I'd be flying them for about maximum maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. After that, they're broken, crash somewhere or something of the sort. Then slowly, now the frequency of getting these drones started reducing because I think my dad started seeing that it's becoming a bit expensive.
These are dangerous pilots.
Yes. So what that now led to is me now starting to tinker with this technology myself. Tinkering with them, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And then slowly now I found myself in a position where I can actually build a drone from scratch myself.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a very long journey. I'd say, so since, if I count from 6 to now, it's been 19 years with drones.
Wow.
Yes.
It's amazing. You know, it's relatively, what is the history of drones, especially in Kenya, and acceptability?
So drones have been, we have 2 ways you can actually properly think about it. So we have been having a lot of people, civilians, actually using drones for, I'm pretty sure everybody has seen them in weddings,
Yes.
funerals, general events. These guys started even before regulations. Regulations were actually promulgated in March of 2020.
Okay.
That's when our regulations were now official. Before that, you'd go to KCA and basically the one word, the one statement everybody would give you is just drones are illegal. But you'd still see them out there in the events, in public places and domains. But then there was barely any commercial entity that was recognized specifically for drone technology before this duration. And up until about 2019-ish, that's when in the private sector now we could see drones now actually, people actually taking up the interest in them. So by around this duration is when the entire thing was out in parliament. Now them trying to debate on what the regulations are looking like, how to do the entire proper landscape of it. We had about 2018 when there was a public participation for people to come and actually play a part in, you know, discussing these regulations and how they're shaped and everything. And then now promulgated to by the parliament to KCA. KCA now officially launched regulations.
So they are enforcing them.
Yes. And since then, they just started with training schools first.
Okay.
Training schools were the first ones to set up, and then now commercial companies after that.
Okay, because I would think about when KCA came in, I mean, they regulate the airwaves.
Yes.
I mean, anything flying, even witches. Anyway. Yeah, flying witches.
Exactly.
They need to pay tax.
Yep.
You know, I'm just thinking about, you know, when I see your drones,
Yeah.
and the ones I see in the wedding, which are toys.
More or less, but technology has been improving.
It has been improving, yeah.
So
Because
the
you
sound
guys,
that are still...
you guys big drones. Inabeba mtu bwana anaenda naye. By the way, the other day I saw something interesting. The drone taxis. Are they true? Was it true? It was April Fool's game.
So what that is it's a landscape that we call air mobility. So air mobility is where you actually have the air taxis.
Okay.
China already has this technology. Switzerland is also in the development of it. Most Western countries are actually looking at getting into that particular sector. In Kenya, we also have interest in that particular area, specifically with a company called Fahari Aviation. And it's a thing that's actually very true, and it's actually happening. They're already in use in China, in some countries in Asia as well, and Switzerland, where now they're being developed. So it's just now the proper process is in acceptability of this technology. Somebody accepting to get into a drone, there's no pilot. Mtu, kwanza sisi wa Afrika. Unaingia hapo, you're already starting to think of all of the things that could go wrong.
Can you invite her and start saying, what did I do to you? What have I done? Why do you want to kill me?
Exactly.
I'm telling you. Well, I think it's amazing to see what's happening with the drones. You know, the challenge, when I look at the drones, I actually had to go and study to look at how drones are in use, because most of us are used to the drones we see in the weddings. or maybe in a small shoot somewhere, somebody
Yes.
just filming. But just trying to widen the scope where drones are actually in use and are so crucial.
Yes.
I notice in wildlife we have them. What other fields are you looking at?
So we have wildlife, definitely one big one, and it's growing specifically now in Africa. Then we have another section in security and surveillance, whether it's in border patrol, whether it's in actually big farms, big companies, big geographical areas, people with vast lands that they want to protect, actually deploying drones for the same kind of work. It's a lot easier, a lot faster. And deployment makes deployment very, very fast. You have security, you have where Ken is now in agriculture as well, using them for crop health monitoring, spraying of fertilizers and pesticides. You also have film and photography, other than the ones we see in weddings, but in actual professional film sets.
Professional shit.
Yes, carrying big cameras, big rigs. Other places
those are
also
big rigs,
maritime.
actually.
Yes,
eh?
yes, yes.
Major
Quite,
big
quite huge, quite huge. And there's so many other different places. When I look at drones, my basic perspective is the limitation of where you're able to adapt the usability of drones is limited by your imagination.
Amazing. Ken, you are a licensed drone pilot. Not cameraman, drone pilot.
Yes, drone pilots, yes.
No, people don't take it that serious. It's actually you are a pilot, literally,
Yes,
a drone pilot. The first time I actually engaged in, I wanted to get into drones, I saw drone pilot. I asked myself, are these guys joking? Seriously, are they joking? They want to make it as expensive as being a pilot, the way the name acceptability, the pilot.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes,
Seriously?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
In fact, I got this mindset of the prohibitive costs. I got so scared.
Yeah.
But then that's what they are called. They are drone pilots.
Sure.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Very true.
You are licensed. By the way, we'll be talking about your academy because you also get licensing
Yes.
for people. You are licensed and you do agree. Just give us a little break on that.
Well, first of all, I want to begin by saying I got licensed through Dronector.
Oh,
So that's
nakujia
how-
license.
Si ukujie
Unajua,
wewe.
unajua Kenya inasemanga unajua msee huko.
Si ukujie.
When you made it tuongee.
Niwende
Unajua
usome.
msee huko.
Niwende usome. So
Kusoma lazima nitasoma raundi hii.
now, I got to know Dronector through a competition that was happening in the country. That was Kenya Drone Business Competition, hosted by one of the global companies that are in the drone industry. And through that, before I had interacted with drones around 2019, while I was doing my studies in masters, and that sparked my interest. So when I saw this competition, I was like, let me just try and see whether the ideas that I have could be able to work. And that's how DroFarmer got to become. So I went through the competition, and we were given an opportunity to take our drone license course with Dronector, and that's how I got licensed.
Question, when you went through the course,
Yeah.
what were your expectations?
Well, first of all, I didn't have any concrete expectations in terms of
You're
what
just
I was
going
able
for fun,
to achieve. Yeah, it was an opportunity that had come my way, and I was excited to see what I can be able to do with drones. But after I went through the course and learned about the different things in terms of how drones operate, how you can be able to repair, how you can be able to apply in different contexts, and the skills that you learn in terms of just flying the drone opened my mind to see that we can apply drones in a million ways. For instance, in the current industry that I'm in, we are looking at being able to deliver some medicine in a context that I'm working in. So I feel like drones, and when you go to school and you study about drones and you get the skills, you get a very different picture of what exactly drone technology is all about.
You know, the amazing thing is that, and actually most people got into more interest in drones during the COVID season because of the delivery of vaccines. Because that's what was actually, you watch CNN, you watch, because people are not moving around. There was a lot of drone technology being being enforced, not enforced really, in use.
Yes, yeah.
Were you in business then?
So yes, that's actually when the company actually started in 2020. So just a bit of background, when I was getting now into the professional sector of drones, that started in 2019 actually, so that literally just after my high school.
Okay.
We had gone to South Africa for training. It was the only country in Africa at that time that...
Actually, I checked it out. It was in South Africa.
Exactly, yes. So South Africa was the only one that started with regulations in place. They had commercial companies already set up. They had training academies already set up. They had the landscape that's very, very easy to understand. And that's the same place KCA also went to benchmark initially to get, the regulations. But obviously they saw what was working there, came home, and obviously with consultation with the security agencies here, that's the likes of the Ministry of Defense, NIS, all of these security firms, they sat down and decided to work on regulations, but their main aspect was looking at risk. What's the risk that these drones actually pose to general public? What is the risk they actually pose to innocent bystanders, anyone who's not affiliated with whatever's actually happening? And that's how they structured the regulations here.
Okay.
So yeah, that's when we started, but we actually now started properly getting into business starts in 2021.
Wow.
Yes.
It's amazing. Talk about drone pilot as a skill. Is an available skill.
Yes.
And because we are living in a day when skills are key. What do I need to get into?
Drone flying. So being a pilot, that term pilot, by the way, it's a serious word, and we use that word because we want you to understand and be aware. The seriousness of exactly what you're flying. Because that's the problem we get with a lot of these guys that we find in weddings and whatnot. For them, it's just a tool that they're using. Forgetting that they need to be the most aware people of what this item you're actually using, what it's capable of, what its limitations are, and the risk it actually poses to the general people around you. So obviously things like flying in a church for when you're filming a wedding, indoor flying, and it's where you have Wi-Fi boosters and signals which will interfere with this radio communication link between you and the drone, things that should not be happening.
Give me an example. Give me a live example. You've been in this. You're in this meeting.
Yes.
And you're seeing these boys. Looking very serious. And Jama gonna do.
You can very easily tell a professional,
a trained one, and a professional.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can tell a trained professional with drones. One, not just by the way he flies, but his general sense of awareness wherever he's actually flying. You'd see this guy is not just going to randomly take off a drone in the middle of nowhere or wherever. He's going to be very sane about it. It's number one, there has to be a briefing, right? If we're coming into an office into an event, everyone needs to be aware where this drone is actually going to be flying. We need to have sought consent. Obviously, in an event, the only way that you can do that is there's so many posters everywhere telling you that once you're getting into this particular space, you're going to be filmed, and you need to be aware of that. But you'll see a trained pilot. He's going to take off his drone very far from where the actual crowd is.
Yes.
Then fly closer to now where the action is actually happening, but in safe lines. Most of these other people, you'll see a drone literally 2 feet from your head.
May I have two very sad stories? I was in a wedding. This guy is just like, I'm wondering, is this guy... I am not aware about drones, but I was a bit scared. The height.
Yes.
The way he was.
Yes.
And he was delivering rings. My friend.
That's another very big one.
They went... Zikakoma committee.
So many things could go wrong.
We are Africans. This wedding was not meant to be.
That's even not scary. There was one that was delivering the rings to the front of the pulpit.
Yes.
And I think the guy who was not supposed to know how to cut the ribbon that was carrying the rings didn't remember that you don't pull the drone. Because now when you pull it down, you're interfering. And you know the height that the rings were. So he pulled down the drone. And the rotors are on. You can imagine what happened to his face.
Goodness. Oh my goodness. So the
that's
wedding
just how you've ruined a very special.
And another one in a political event. Jama wakachukua mawe bana. Nini? They are spying on us. I know. It's because I think the element of professionalism, because now we need to begin to appreciate professionals.
Exactly.
In some of these fields, and it's just like a camera. You see, most of these people who handle cameras, you can tell a professional very easily, very easily. As a cameraman, a professional cameraman, you will tell very easily by the way he handles the equipment, and by the way he handles his environment. And so you wonder, you can tell this one is somebody who knows what he's doing. This other one, you just be careful, And so those are some of your, I mean, when you go and you see those things, what happens to you?
So mentally, it's a very taxing thing, by the way, because, the main thing is sometimes when clients are coming to you, as a professional pilot, right? And you're expected to come and film an entire event, as an example. There's so many processes and steps to go through this. And in the mind of a seasoned professional, first thing you need to do is go and actually do a site evaluation. Where am I going to fly?
Wow.
I need to know what are the risks posed that's actually posing in this, so that I can know if this mission is actually viable or not. Once you have done your site evaluation, then you now need to process your actual permits, because you don't expect to be disappointing your client, because in the middle of your
By the way, repeat that. In every assignment, there's a permit.
Yes, every particular assignment, specifically in Kenya, not just Kenya, but everywhere else where drones are actually, they are a tool, but they can very easily be misused.
Yes.
So you need specific authority, to seek specific authority to come and actually use your drones in whatever means or form you actually want to use them. Right? So site evaluation, go through the processes of permits, obviously now that need to go through KCAA. If KCAA feels that wherever you're actually going to be using your drones is in a security risk area, then they need to be in consultation with the security agencies that we actually discussed earlier, the Ministry of Defense and the likes. Then once they've all given you the go-ahead, that's when you get your permit.
Wow.
And after you get your permit, on the day of you actually going to shoot, things could have changed in that location. You could be part of a bigger production. They could have a lot more other things and other equipment that could be interfering with your equipment and the communication link between your controller and where the drone is actually flying. So you need to do another site evaluation on the day. Try and test the drone before the actual time of shooting. Once you realize what the limitations are and where you're actually able to use this drone, then you now have a safe approach to action.
Come back to what I asked before.
Yes.
Did I need a master's like Ken? Do I
You
need
actually
a master's?
don't. And it's very easy. Drones, I think...
This guy's a doctor, man.
Ken him saw me. So for you to get into drones, believe it or not, minimum. So long as you hit Form 4, you're fine.
Yeah, interest is very key.
Yes.
And so because some of these things are the skills we really need people to have so they can be able to, get into it. Let's go back to farming and how, first of all, you're a farmer. Then number two, you offer the farm, technology through, and you're not even just a farmer. You have so many things. You wear so many hats, Ken, man. Okay.
Ni God,
manzi. This guy has even written a whole book.
Ken himself kabisa. And he's very passionate about
Very
the
passionate. Yes, one of the things, Ken, I have to give it to you, passion. We're gonna passion. Talk to me about some of your success stories in farming.
Yeah, so as I said, I started off now doing drones with a perspective of farming.
Okay.
And the other thing that really interested me to get into that was the data that drones could be able to collect. So my interest was the data that I can be able to collect to help me do what we call precision farming. Now, when I first encountered data collected by drones, I was doing it for an onion farm. The one that I do. And then I was just trying to think about how can I be able to use that kind of data to help me get better yields. And that's where the idea of DroFarmer, a product that we call yield estimator or Mavuno Bora came about. So the idea is we get data, we are able to predict the trend line of how this crop can be by the end of the harvest period, what we can be able to get. So it goes around some programming, of course, AI and machine learning, where you get the footage, you're able to do some analysis, you're able to do some NDVI maps to know how the yield, how the crop health is around the field, and then you know what you can be able to do in terms of either applying fertilizers and all that. But now the idea has grown because there are other needs that in agriculture can also be able to utilize the same. The second thing we are doing right now is to be able to calculate risk in terms of the crop that you're growing, and that can help you to be able to even approach an insurance company and tell them, by the way, this is the risk of my crop, this is the value of the crop that I'm looking at, because now you have the yield estimator here and you have the risk kind of a model. By that, you're able to tell them, if you insure me this, then you know that you're protected, trying to help farmers to be protected, small-scale farmers. And then the last thing is what we call soil organic carbon. Okay. So again, with the drone data that we are collecting, you're able to give you a map of how your soil organic carbon looks like, things to do now with carbon measurement, verification, and even being able to venture into the carbon market.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You just talked something about insurance.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of what you call agricultural insurance products.
Yeah.
And in fact, one time I was listening to something, they were saying they are going to insure a crop. I said, these people are jokers. Yeah? Najua jua yetu ni kama mziki ya matatu. Weather yetu ni kama mziki ya matatu. Inaweza zimwa na karao.
Yeah.
So, have you ventured into that now? Because now they need people who can give them the risk analysis so that they can be able to give insurance and also not going to fail.
Yeah, we've just finished building our model for the risk insurance part. We piloted with some, of course, farmers in Kitui, because I'm targeting the arid and semi-arid areas.
Okay.
But I'm also looking at small-scale farmers who sometimes will not be able to get these services because of the acreage that they have.
Yeah.
You see, large-scale farmers can be valued by insurance companies easily, and they get their way out. But now for small-scale farmers, 3 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres. So we piloted with 2 farms. We are able to see that it's a working model, so we are seeking partnerships now to be able to kind of commercialize the entire product and make it available for the public.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We have a few minutes to go for a break. Kevin.
Yes.
Myths. You know, the myths about drones, the misconception. You know, the first time I saw a drone personally, I had mixed feelings.
Exactly. That's one of the biggest ones. So a lot of people see drones, they think bombs or think weddings. So,
you know, it was bad because, you know, Kenya had been bombed back.
Yes.
Then
and that's actually where all of this started.
Okay.
That's where all of this started. That's where the seriousness of, you know, actually regulating this industry began. I don't know if you remember back in 2019 or 2018. I'm not exactly sure the actual year, but there was a bombing that happened in Lamu.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
Drones. Yes, and that was now the instigator to now start all this entire process of regulating the industry, setting up academies, and setting up commercial drone companies, so that now we can distinguish between legal operators and everybody else. Yes.
Oh my God.
So now back to your question: myths and misconceptions. One is people see drones, exactly what you said. They have no idea what's happening. They think immediately they see a drone, someone is spying. If they're not spying, someone is coming to bomb me. Kwanza ukipatana na drone in the middle of nowhere, in a semi-arid place, ama in rural area, that's one of the things, and I don't like it. I don't know if you've even seen on social media videos of people where they're flying drones, and then they start seeing people running, they start chasing those people with the same drones. Irresponsible behavior that, or to be very honest, if you ask me, that's somebody that needs to be in jail.
I'll be talking to you about that after the break, because we need to know the pilots, the code of conduct.
Yes, that's why you need training.
Well, we are at the break time. Remember, you can talk to Kevin and Ken. They're here. Whatever you want to ask, please go on the socials, ask the question, let's converse, and let's have a great time together. See you after the break.
Explore a world of knowledge at Elevation Bookshop. Dive into topics like marriage, money, and spiritual growth with our vast reading materials. But that's not all. We are thrilled to introduce new additions like stationeries, notebooks, modeling clay, dictionaries, pencils, kamusi, and more. And calling all students, gear up for success with our back-to-school items, providing you with everything you need to excel in every subject. At Elevation Bookshop, we're here to assist you in finding the perfect resources for your journey. Do you have specific preferences or looking for something special? Visit us at Kenya Cinema Plaza, mezzanine floor, or contact us on 0748 902 225. Elevation Bookshop. Enrich your life. What does it mean to be a man today? It's more than what meets the eye.
A man is defined by his vision. How committed, how clear that vision is to him. We don't need supervision. What we need is a supervision.
It's about the stories, the struggles, and the success.
There is greatness that God has deposited in every man. You are a reservoir of untapped potential.
Welcome to Man Unveiled, the show where we explore the heart of modern manhood.
Why don't we accept the liberation that has been brought to us by the Word of God?
We dive into topics that matter most: relationships, mental health, career challenges, and the journey of self-discovery. Join us and let's unveil the truth together. Man Unveiled, because real men have real stories.
We are back from our break. I hope you're back, and I hope your questions are there. There are lines, there are lines on your screen, but please use the socials. Let's talk on Facebook and on YouTube. Send your questions, send your comment. I see Pauline Kada is watching. I hope you want to fly a drone. You need to see me, and we can fly it together. And the rest of you, please, let's talk to Kevin and Ken, who are in the house. You're talking about something about
The
misconduct.
Yes, and misconduct. Yes, actually.
Misconduct
yes.
while handling drones.
Yes.
And is there a code of conduct?
Yes, there's something we call airmanship. That's one of the first ones. Airmanship is basically understanding that, number one, you're in an airspace. It's not yours.
Yes.
There's other aviation practitioners within that airspace. Whether it's manned aviation pilots that fly, normal fixed-wing type aircraft like the normal airliners, or the helicopter pilots. There could be other people using air balloons. All of that's happening. There's also birds in the same airspace. You need to be aware of all of this that's happening.
As an ecosystem.
Exactly, it's an ecosystem. And to even improve that, in our particular training components, we include something called radio telephony training. And I think, Ken, you can confirm this.
Yes.
So it's a very specific type of training where we teach you to be able to communicate. All of hii jargon unasikianga watu wakiongeleshanga towers, pilots wakiongelesha towers, Echo Bravo, Charlie, sijui nini, hizo. That's what we teach you, to be able to understand what's happening within your airspace. And then number two, to also be able to communicate in that airspace in case anything was to go wrong with your mission. Or your drone, for some reason, you didn't do your due diligence, or something just drastic happened and you've lost control of your drone. You need everybody in the airspace to know, hapa kuna shida, drone imeenda, imepotea, kila mtu ajue na wako in the lookout. But sasa ukikosa kuongelesha watu, drone yako imefly away.
So kuna sharing ya airspace.
That's one of the very first things. Yes.
That's good. When you talk about training, because I really want us to focus on those two areas, because
Yes.
this is your success story.
Yes.
Ken here is your success story. Ni mtu na baba yake.
Indeed.
Collaborations.
Yes.
When you're training, do you collaborate with other industries or other institutions that where you take students and they're able to be, you know, to be given
Very
exposure?
interesting. Very interesting that you've mentioned that, because the same thing, Ken is a definite example of exactly that.
Okay.
So the Kenya Drone Business Competition is one of the collaborations we've done.
Wow.
So Kenya Drone Business Competition was started by actually a company called Global Air Drone Academy. They're based in the States, and they had an idea of, you know, helping, you know, the marginalized area and helping Africa. The founder is a Nigerian himself, so he has a lot of investment and passion in actually building drone technology in Africa.
Okay.
And one of his good areas that he had actually wanted to focus on was in Kenya. And with him, KCA as well was also a partner in this venture.
KCA
And-
University?
No, Kenya Civil Aviation
Oh,
Authority,
Civil
our
Aviation.
regulator.
Okay.
They were also a partner in this. And we had another company, now a commercial company called Kenya Flying Labs. So all of us together came collectively, everyone, you know, with a specific, expertise.
Okay.
So us in training, and the main thing was, you know, Ken and a lot of others came with different business ideas for using drones in agriculture.
Amazing.
And we had quite a lot of entries, actually, about 600. That list was, you know, shortlisted to about 25 initial ones. And then out of those 25, now we watered that down, not watered down, but we now selected from those 25, only 5 people now are able to get training out of this, because it was to help them build their businesses and be able to actually have some social impact on communities.
Amazing.
And that's what we love to do as Dronector. It's we are giving this information because we want to see a technologically advanced Africa for Africans.
I really like I really like na sio debe ni ukweli. Sio debe tunapiga. Because you know the problem of many people in Kenya, we say kizungu mingi.
Yes.
Lakini
hatuoni anything.
Hatuoni anything bana. So I mean, you have fruit, you know.
Yes.
And by the way, Dronector, you know, me, I don't take people's words. So I do my small background.
Research,
Maka Brown. Uko na watu.
Thank you.
Uko na watu.
Thank you.
Dronector iko na watu kadhaa. And they're out here.
Yes.
Ken, drones, when you look at what you do, normally professionally, and then you're now into drone technology, what are the, I always ask you this question, what do you see ahead?
Amazing. And well, of course, you know, I'm futuristic oriented, and I like just glimpsing on the future with the ideas that I have as a visionary. There's a lot to be done in terms of what we can be able to build as infrastructure to accommodate the different things that drones can do in terms of business. Like you've just heard, you talked about the taxis, the air taxis. I know it's still nascent, and some things are yet to be done, especially the culture, being able to tell the people and get them used to this kind of new technologies, drone delivery and all that.
Yeah.
What I feel is there's need for people to be able to understand where the value of drone comes in their specific applications or sectors. For instance, if we talk about like agriculture, it's not just about flying the drone or just being able to have the skills of flying the drones on the farm. What value are you going to get from flying this drone? And in this case now, the data that you can be able to get, or efficiency that you can be able to bring on the farm for spraying. Its efficiency, you reduce the time, you reduce the cost, you save the chemicals that you're using. So we look at it as, I look at it as, what value can you be able to gain from using drones in any of the sectors that you can imagine? And the future is bright. It's open for your creativity. It's open for your hard work.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think you know, you are a dreamer, and I really like the way you look at things. And it means that for us, drones are here. We make use of them.
Yes.
In a responsible way, and finding ways. Kevin, I'm back again to you and training. when you look at the training aspect you offer and the people that come through your hands, you are able to see what we call market-ready training.
Yes.
Because again, there's jargon.
Yes. Very true.
There's a lot of jargon. So, are you basically on market-ready? In your training behind the scenes? What are you thinking when you look at these guys that are coming in and by the way, where do you begin? I walk in, nataka drone. I mean, nataka kujua drone.
So for me, the most important thing, being a training institution, we are here to give information. We are here to educate people. So even from the stage of inquiry, we begin our education there. Because most of the phone calls you get, most of the requests and the inquiries you'll get, somebody comes directly to you and they're saying, I'm looking for a license, I have a job in a week. Nataka license ni because client anaitisha license. Unanisaidia aje? And I have to come and tell you, to be very honest, realistically, this particular job is not possible for you to fully do within this first week. You might have prior experience with flying drones, yes. What you do not have, and what we actually teach, is you know how to fly the drone. It's debatable, we're not sure, but yes, you say you know how to fly the drone.
Yes.
Do you understand the structure of the Kenyan airspace? Where you're allowed to fly, where you're not allowed to fly? What are the height limits of which particular areas you're actually going to be flying? Second, do you understand the Kenyan regulations for our airspace? In our regulations, such simple things as that even build this code of conduct is you can't fly a drone within 50 meters of a building, a vehicle, a public road, a crowd of people, if they are not part of
the production,
or whatever it is that you're actually doing. Second, wherever you should be going to fly your drone, the person that owns that piece of land, that building, needs to have given you a letter, a written format, giving you no objection to using your drone in that particular space.
Wow.
Something that a lot of people also ignore. Now, number 3, wherever and whenever you're actually going to fly, there's all of these necessary steps that you need to follow. And when we're thinking about training, that's what we're all looking at. You can know how to fly your drone. Do you understand the aircraft? Is the other second thing. You understand the aircraft that you're actually flying, what its limitations are. You can be going with a drone, a very tiny, small drone, and you're going to be flying in Mombasa, in Diani. And you want to use that same drone to go fly in Mount Kenya. Do you understand the limitations that drone has in either of these locations? One is a high altitude area. High altitude, you're working with a lot less air for these propellers to be spinning and flying. Amazing. Which definitely means you have less flight time, because now the drone is struggling just to keep itself in the air when you're in high altitude area. But once you're in a low altitude area, there's so much air, drone is basically having a field day. But at the same time, when you're going out to fly in Mombasa and you're towards the beach, there's so much wind.
Yes.
Is your drone capable of handling that wind?
That wind. So basically, what I'm hearing from you is that you come with what you want, but we want to give you the scope.
Yes.
That somebody is well versed with that. What are the challenges you face with training, with the students in training?
One is we have to get people that wanakujanga, mimi najua kufly, mimi nataka tu license.
So unamuonesha ile mlango ingine.
Mimi naambia huko kwetu
ama unamtuma kwa Ken.
Akaenda hivyo.
Yeah, so generally that's one of the biggest challenges is you have people, yes, they want to get the license, but they're not ready to go through 4 weeks of training. Mtu kwa akili yake ameshaeka permanently, I know how to fly. The students that now decide, fine, mmesema and I don't have a choice, I need to get this license, there's a proper procedures of how to go about it, let me come to school. Wanaingianga shule and then they realize,
it was a real thing.
Siku wanafikiria kuko hivi.
And I think that's the way it should.
That's exactly how it's supposed to be, because at the very end of the day, when we're looking at training you, when you're going out there to your clients, your client should be telling you, this is what I want to do. It's up to you to now tell your client, this is possible, this is not possible, or if this is not possible, these are the other alternative ways of how we can go about this.
And you know what I'm thinking?
Yes.
The biashara man has kicked in. Because now that helps you in costing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you don't just, you know, we also have a problem in costing. Me, I want drones to film my documentary, or maybe to do this. You only 10K. You discover even your 10K won't work because even the license.
Hata licenses zenyewe labda hazitafika.
Hazitafika hapo.
Yes.
So you find that it helps you to be a professional even in what you're doing. And by the way, when a client is informed by the service provider, they feel safer.
Yes.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Ken, success stories. The agriculture,
Yeah.
where you've done agriculture. He said something, I picked it, about impacting society. That's where the competition came in. And that's how you won the thing.
Yeah.
Because you had a way to impact community.
Yeah.
Give us success stories.
As I said, I did my pilots for the products that I'm building in Kitui. So I selected like 3 farms that I was able to work with them through the entire journey of being able to start from when they're planting up to when they're harvesting.
Okay.
And so the idea was to be able to show them the data, show them the value of being able to either spray, either do a mapping that can be able to get us data that we can analyze and show them the areas that have issues on the farm. And so with those 3 farmers, both of them can be able to attest that with the models that we are still working on, there is value to being able to use a drone in your day-to-day activities on the farm. The first thing, when you do spraying with a drone, it reduces the time that you use to be able to do maybe a 3-acre farm. So imagine a 3-acre farm would want 2 or 3 people who would go on a knapsack sprayer, do that thing, and you know how tiresome it is because it's heavy. But with a drone, within less than a day, let's call it just a day, a working day, you're able to do that.
Still
Actually,
equal.
less than a day.
Still equal, man.
The
I need to work.
the second thing, look at it in terms of the savings that you make when
Yes.
you're using the same drone for spraying. So the chemicals that you would have used would greatly reduce because there's a lot of inefficiencies in spraying. You'll spray areas that do not have the crop and all that. With a drone, you're very precise. That's what we call precision.
And by the way,
agriculture.
when you said something about cost, the savings
Yes.
that are involved there.
Yes.
You know, people don't see that bit. They see, and I think perspective. I think we need civic education.
Yes. I think even, allow me to interject there. Think about it like back in the 90s when computers were the thing. You remember the adaptability of them. Everyone waliona hizi vitu zimekuja hapa kuchukua kazi zetu.
Hii kazi imeenda.
Yeah.
You remember how much in an uproar. 15 years later, by 2010, computers, even your small smartphone, everyone now, it became part of your life.
Yeah.
And they came to enable so many things.
Yes.
Communication became so easy. I remember listening to my parents and them talking to me about their dating days. How mlikuwa mnatoka shule, umeandikiwa barua, the specific time, what you should be wearing, where we will meet. Me communicate like 3 months before, and then you have a specific day. Mtu akichelewa ama kitu ikihappen, unafikiria ukulienda aje. There's no, you know, there was no way to properly communicate. But these devices came, have made our lives so much easier. And it's the same thing with drones now. It's taking a while for people to properly and fully accept this technology, but it is here and it is here to stay. So the key thing is understanding how can we make use of these tools.
You talked about, I'll ask you 2 things.
Yes.
One, what would you tell somebody who thinks just drones are just a toy to play around, I mean, to use when you think, and you take it as a real serious assignment.
Yes.
It's a piloting aspect.
Yes.
I heard you call it an aircraft.
Yes.
It's not even you know what people think.
A toy. You
It's
know,
not a
people
toy,
think of it as a toy.
or even a drone. Is a
Yes.
is a plane.
Yes.
So talking about when you have that mindset of
Yeah.
a pilot, you have this plane is a 370 Airbus. You have these people sitting inside. You know, the thought of safety, the thought of landing safely. You know, what would you tell someone?
The first thing is everything you think you know before we start this conversation, please forget it. Please forget it. And let us guide you. Let us guide you. Let us train you to understand what the parameters are and what the parameters exist for you to know what a safe operation looks like. Because every single time you're using that drone, it is a tool, yes. But it could be very, very vital in terms of, and it could be, it's a vulnerable tool as well.
Actually, it can be very destructive.
Exactly, extremely. And if you're not aware of the safety precautions that you need to take, if you're not aware of how to safely operate this particular item, then things could go very wrong very fast.
Yeah, and you know, one time I saw somebody actually set a whole estate on fire with a drone.
Yes.
Guy just flew it through power lines. My friend, the fire. So you can imagine, I agree with you, government and regulation. Do you think government is doing everything?
So far, what I can say about government is they're also on a learning curve themselves.
And what I would want you to do as you talk about that, what would you feel they would need to do to support the drone industry that you are actually key players?
Okay, first thing in terms of that, I would say I commend the government for doing one thing is regulating this industry, because that needed to happen. There was rules and regulations that needed to happen, and people to set it up very well. Next thing is engage the public, engage the people that are actually using these drones. Have more discussions with them on a day-to-day basis. Understand the operational capacities that people actually have, and then be ready to embrace this technology as it comes. Because technology means innovation is going to happen. People want to test things, and that's how, you know, the innovation would actually grow, is by allowing people to build their own ecosystems, try and experiment with things, obviously with safety at the backbone of your mind.
Amazing.
And the regulators, the government right now is doing a stellar job with trying to regulate the industry 100%. But I feel there's a sector of the industry that has been ignored, and that is the hobby sector. The hobby sector. People with interest they just want to fly a drone for the fun of it. Now, this sector is where innovation starts happening. Because these people getting into drones, they'll get into these drones at a very young age, just like how I started. We started flying these drones for the fun, and that's what now leads you to understanding the aircraft you're using, understanding the technology you're actually using. And slowly, as you're growing up and finding maybe there's a key area I could use it here or there. The problem we have with Kenya right now is it is virtually impossible to be a hobbyist for drones, unless you go to a training academy that has an approved flying site, and then you need a certificate or a license to fly in that particular area. Here's the problem with that. So many people, we have people in Kitui, we have people in Nanyuki, we have people in Mombasa, we have people everywhere, you know, within Kenya, that would just want to buy a drone, fly it in their backyard, go and fly it in their shosho's shamba, where they're not disturbing anyone. For that to happen, they still need to go to KCA or come, and they can't go to KCA directly. They need to come to people like us. Then we need to charge them, because KCA will charge us to give them a daily permit.
Yes.
Which becomes very expensive. And if you're doing it as a hobby, it's
becomes an
very
expensive
limiting.
hobby.
I like what you're saying, but there's a question running in my head. At least both of you, anyone can answer this. You're looking at areas that they can explore,
Yes.
which means either you belong to, or there needs to be an association or a group of drone pilots that is well registered, membership is clear, because government does not deal with you. Even if they say, oh, kuna kijana kaliongea pale, but then they say, kuna association iliongea, you know, that's more weightier.
True.
Is there such a thing, like a group or an association, where you encourage drone pilots to belong, so that there is lobbying?
Yes.
In case there is injustice on one of you, tutoke na maandamano, tutoke na masufuria zetu.
So yes, there is an association by the name UASK. So that's uncrewed. Basically, it's uncrewed aerial systems, basically for drones, Society of Kenya. And this is basically all of these different companies, the flying academies, the commercial drone companies, and even individual pilots are actually very welcome to join this particular association, because that association is our front to actually dealing with the government, having one unified voice where we're talking about the problems that we're actually facing. So yes, there exists an association. It's actually very new. It's very new, registered I think end of last year actually, and then now actually starting on Sorry? Yeah. Yes, we've just made the introduction to ourselves to Kenya, KCA themselves. Now we're just waiting now for the rest of the due process to happen, so that we can begin now lobbying of.
Because there's an advantage when you are a group.
Yes.
Because that way,
Yes.
number
Very,
one,
very
you will know your members.
Yes.
You can secure them, secure their equipment. Because if my equipment is arrested, I mean, the group will come and say, wachilia huyu
Very
jamaa,
true.
huyu
Very
si
true.
spy bana.
Very true.
Si ndio?
Very, very true.
Agree. Now that's where you are. How many people are using this technology in agriculture right now? I mean, in your you've come across them, of course. That's your area.
Yeah. The numbers are growing. That is what I would say. You look at areas like Kericho, you look at Limuru, some parts of Bomet. There are people who are now using drones to be able to do their spraying. I've actually seen guys in Rimuruti doing spraying for their maize and such. So the numbers are growing in terms of the use of drones in agriculture, especially for the spraying part. I still feel that we need to be able to do more awareness in terms of the other perspectives of data collection and being able to utilize that data for smart farming.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about training. I think you need to do a lot of training. You
Yeah.
know, to move me from my knapsack to your drone.
Yeah.
Beyond just awareness, the training, because that's one way to impact community and see that the community is embracing technology in their farming.
Yeah.
And then you make your daddy proud, you know.
Of course, of course. So some of the things that we are doing is being part of like shows, these agricultural shows,
Yes.
where now at least we do some awareness, and then people come to us and ask us how can we be able to get this knowledge so that we can, if they have the capacity to buy the drones by themselves, be able to use by themselves instead of hiring. And that's when now we direct them to Dronector and tell them you need to get the skills so that you can be able to utilize this tool on your farm.
Amazing. So you're actually an ecosystem.
Yes,
Wewe ni
basically it's an
mjanja.
ecosystem. It's
Kev,
basically
bana.
an ecosystem. Yeah.
Wewe enda tu utakam. Anambia naenda hivi na kama.
The thing is it works both ways, because
Yes.
there's value to what
Yeah.
he's doing, and of
Yes.
course now once he is able to train someone and he gets back to the field, there's value to that person who is going to
And actually, at the end of it, is an ecosystem.
Yes.
Because he doesn't need to do agriculture business when you're there.
Yes.
And he doesn't need to do training when you're there.
Yes.
So basically, you're actually using, you're using your student network
Yes.
to broaden the base and be able to do more in terms of. So in agriculture, what would you feel government would do to embrace this? And do you think it's impacting so that they can see the need to bring in drone technology into our farming, and not just our farming?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he'll also pick it up as we begin to close down the place where it can help in government institutions.
Yeah, I think one of the things that the government needs to check is trying to subsidize the drones, especially the agricultural drones. They are quite expensive to get one. So if that could happen, it would encourage more people to be able to get these drones, be able to utilize them on their farms and get the efficiencies and the advantages of using these drones on their farms. But secondly, partnerships. I believe if the government could be able to work with people like us who are doing this and partner with cooperatives, being able to use those as avenues to show farmers that this technology is working and this is the value. I think that kind of a partnership would be able to grow the agricultural industry and the use of drones within the
Na
sector.
mahali mimi naona tuanzie na hii fertilizer. Hii kitu hii fertilizer tuanzie hapo. Tuko ready kudeliver. Wewe tuma SMS tutakuletea. Hii mambo ya kukaa kwa board bwana. Waache hiyo tabia. We are beginning to wind up.
Yes.
Imagine time yetu imeisha. And I'm just thinking about, I want you to talk about Dronector.
Yes.
Fanya ile elevator pitch.
So
Look at that camera. I mean, I want you to talk to somebody,
Yes.
real. Tell them, you're looking for a skill and you are not yet made up your mind. This is a skill.
So whenever you're thinking about drones, the first learning step and first curve that you need to find out is, one, I need to get trained, right? And when I'm getting my training, the direct place that I need to go, one, what is their current experience on ground? Do they understand the drones that they're actually using? What is their area of expertise with this particular drones? If whether I'm doing work in agriculture, do they have experience in agriculture? Those are the things that you need to keep at the back of your mind. And specifically for Dronector, we are very tech savvy in terms of the drones themselves, because we are the only academy in Kenya as of this moment that trains people not just how to fly and how to become pilots, but we train you to properly understand the aircraft you're using. And from that, we actually look at, you've come to fly. If this drone crashes, am I able to repair it? We have training for that. If I had an idea and I want to go away from these ultra expensive drones, can I fabricate something myself? We have training on that. With the expertise of knowledge that we have from all, and this is another thing for you to bear in mind, we're in the field of aviation, and all of our trainers as of this moment have all a background in aviation prior to them getting into drones. So the intermarriage of aviation and integration of drones into manned aviation sector is an experienced field that we are in. So in terms of wealth of information, there's no other alternative other than us. And that's where you go.
You have a few questions here to answer online.
Okay.
Kagiri is asking, okay, Kagiri is saying, well done, guys. Kevin and Mbuki yako. 254 Mile Maker is asking you, how much do I require to acquire a drone flying license?
Right now, I'd say fees are quite subsidized. We actually have an offer going on. Training normally goes for 175,000 for that full month of training, but we actually have an offer going for 140,000 right now. And there's a payment plan that you can actually do for you to get into the training.
The license?
Yes.
The
it includes
the
all
license.
of the flying all the way to you getting your actual license.
Amazing.
And you actually get 2 licenses out of it. You have your drone license and radio telephony license.
Joy Kinya, deeply enthusiastic about drones, and I'm in the GIS field and want to indulge in agri-tech. That's for you. Thank you for this conversation, Serious Wisdom Nuggets. I'm definitely following your socials in more learning. So, Dronector,
yes.
Socials and contacts and where you are.
We're based in Wilson Airport, just here in Langata.
Unasikia Airport.
That's where our headquarters is. We have 2 fields. One, because of the integration of manned aviation and the drones, we have a field. It's within a private airspace in Kajiado, where it's called Oli Air Park. And then we have a second field out here in Kikuyu, an area where we've actually partnered with KALRO. So that's Kenya Agricultural Livestock Research Organization. They have a humongous field just out in Deri. That's where we have our practical training actually happening. You can reach us on 0758 466 93. That's 0758 466 93. That's our direct line. And on our socials, you'll find us at Instagram at dronector.academy, on Twitter at Dronector, LinkedIn, Dronector Academy. That's basically everywhere you'll find us. Website is www.dronector.com.
You're a real pitch guy. Kevo maze. Takuja class. DroFarmer.
Yes.
Look at the camera. Let's talk about and why they need DroFarmer.
Why they need DroFarmer.
Yes.
So, as I said last time, data is an enabler in the technology world when you're doing business intelligence. But in this sense, or in this context, the drones for a farmer in agriculture are the enablers. We have drone technology here with us. Precision agriculture is real. You need DroFarmer to be able to ride on the value that data can be able to give you to improve your farming. It's about numbers, and if you're able to utilize the drone data that we get or that we are able to collect on your farm, integrate it in our processes, you'll be able to get the value for using drones in your farm.
Where do we get DroFarmer?
DroFarmer, you can find us on LinkedIn. Majorly, that's our major social media that platform that we have. So DroFarmer, but we also have a website at www.drofarmer.co.ke. Yeah, and if you don't find me on any of those ones, you can reach out to me.
Nanitoa.
Okay.
And it needs to say the website is very beautiful.
Oh,
Very beautiful.
Thank you.
Very beautiful
Thank
website.
you.
I just liked it, and I'm happy to just be part of you guys. I mean, today just do my little part. Kevin, thank you for coming. That was short notice, but you made it, and I'm so glad. Nikileta customer iko Zamacha.
Kama kawaida.
Jonane nje.
So Ken, also thanks for coming. I'm so grateful. Personally, I use networks. Can you imagine? I came to you through networks. You can imagine what that can do.
Yes.
We believe Elevate is also a network for you. When you have the advert, please bring it on. We're going to paste it here. Actually, bring up your advert, and if you don't have it, we'll talk kunyuma ya tent.
Haina shida.
Sindio?
Kabisa.
Well, that's all we could do today on Elevate Television. My name is Moses Muiruri. I've been with Kevin and Ken. And I tell you what, today's conversation, you need to go through it online, go through it on YouTube. Let me tell you, this information is what we need. Some people are not looking for money. They're just looking for information. And information is key. Just like Ken says, data is key. You need it, and this is part of your data, so that you can build a career in this area. And let me tell you, all things are possible if you just use what you have. That's all we could have today. It's my pleasure to host this program this day, and always keep it elevate. God bless you. Have yourself a wonderful day.